Well, there's a book I like to go into pretty much later. But again, well, he's back again. The return of Fire Me. Well, they all do return, don't they? Fayose bounced back. Now Governor Fayemi is back again. Perhaps there's something about Ekiti State. Will anyone be having any pound of flesh club? What is important sometimes is for you not to be them. Is he going to be like them? On the other hand, former Governor Fayose is still with the EFCC at the moment. He was there today with Governor Wike and Chief Fani Kayode. Well, heads up, this is it. Mr. Fayose has turned down the offer of an administrative bail. He wants to face his demons squarely. Well, in the courts. We're still on that road, the road to 2019. We will explore the turns, the twists and stops, but most importantly, the destinations. Stove on, pot on fire, it's cooking time. As political stew, I'm Sulaiman Aleda. Welcome. It was only last week I told you some politicians were suffering from panic attacks. Now watch closely, don't lose focus. More will come. Did you hear that silent scream from the southeast? What's that again? They don't want him. They say they weren't consulted. Well, who is afraid of Peter Obi? That's a big one. The political environment has been jolted following the conclusion of the primaries across political parties. Sadly, many are still talking about these two, the PDP and the APC. What about the others? You can watch us live online on the go at tvcnews.tv/live streaming. We're live on YouTube, TVC News Nigeria Live, and youtube.com/political stew. We're also live on Facebook. And remember to download the Political Stew app on Google Play Store and follow the show and news on politics. We'll take a moment. When we'll come back, we'll be looking at, what's going on this road to 2019, how topsy-turvy it will be for some and how smooth it just might be for others. Well, we'll talk about all this with those who are in it and they know it and they are better to explain it. Eye on 2019, the game changes. Joining me now is Kenneth Odidika. He's an attorney at law on political stew. Good to have you join me. I'm so excited you could make it.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is all mine.
A whole lot has been happening, and quite frankly, a lot of people had thought that there was going to be maybe an alternative to this big two, which we had seen over the years from 1999 till this moment, even though for the APC they had some kind of metamorphosis, changing names. What's your reading? Let's start and see if we can actually situate this pretty much later. Looking at this, being someone, I think our viewers will like, because I recall then, you said before myself and my colleagues then, that was some years ago, that you have stopped being a member of any political, you're not a member of any political party. Are you still, you know?
Yes, the year I turned, I think it was 50 or 51, right there in the studio, then in a channel, channel television.
I remember then.
I made a categorical statement that I was not a member of any political party. And that is still the position till today. I do not belong to any political party. My political party is Nigeria.
I think that is the best thing for us to look at now, because I just wanted my viewers to know that, okay, that's what, I thought it has changed, because we know how it does happen for a lot of people.
I'm not a politician, so I'm not changed like they do.
Good. So he's an attorney at law. Now let's look at what has happened in 2019. Perhaps when everyone saw what was going to happen when President Jonathan lost the election, let's start from the umbrella, the PDP, and see what has happened so far. Looking at what transpired in Port Harcourt, give us your perspective. Leading up to Port Harcourt, what exactly did you see?
Thank you very much, Lai. For quite some time, given the principal actors on the Nigerian political scene, particularly at the national level, it has always been my belief that Atiku Abubakar was actually about the best among those they had there. So when eventually, even when it was when they had their APC primaries, the president won then, I was telling some APC people then, why you people should ensure that Atiku came, and actually agreed with me. But eventually when the president won, naturally, they went behind him. So it was relatively, for me, it's relatively to the thing of joy that Atiku Abubakar came out, that won the primaries in PDP, because we already knew that it was going to be President Buhari for APC. But there was something I alluded to when we were introducing this program this evening. And it was the absence or seeming absence of a third party, a third force, as Nigerians have been saying. This country is full of paradoxes. Nigerians have been complaining about the old brigade, poverty, corruption. You have no idea the amount of, coming here now, some messages I received concerning some briefs my firm is handling. I don't want to go into that now. However, the level of corruption, the depth, the decadence in society, and it is how with Buhari, so let's not go there. It's been there. Now, somebody else, at least one person, there's some other, Showore, and some others. But at least somebody has been there in our face for some time now, crisscrossing Nigeria. And his name is Kingsley Moghalu.
He was on the show.
Yes, I think I watched that. Now, that is Kingsley Moghalu. I mean, this is a world beater any day. And nobody's talking about him. People are still talking about Buhari, Atiku, only.
But really, how does this sit? I'm so excited we're talking about this now, and I'm happy that you started this. Just recently, I had a conversation with someone. We were talking about someone in Plateau State. And I said, once upon a time, this man, as a grandchild, he was the administrator of the old Bendel State. And here I am, he still wants to be a governor. And here I am, President Buhari once was the head of state, and here I am, he's still going again. And now you're saying that we have some new entrants, and it doesn't look like anyone seemed to be giving some of them any notice. What do you think is truly wrong? Is it that the new order or the new entrants haven't actually been able to develop themselves, or latch onto? There must be something that is missing that they're not getting right.
See, when we were growing up, we had the best of education. My children all went to school now abroad. I didn't go to any school abroad. All my education was here. and we could compete with the best anywhere in the world. Now, the kind of education that we've been having in Nigeria have been such that there has really been no education. You see, let me give you a simple example. How can somebody come out and say that the main thrust of his government is going to be fighting corruption? That is it is, I don't want to use words that would appear to be insolent, but that shows lack of depth. And people are supposedly educated Nigerians are jumping up and down. Just jumping up and down, excitedly. How can you come out to fight corruption? How can that be something you say you're going to do for Nigeria? It follows, it is natural that crime should be taken care of, or corruption is no longer crime. How can that be the focus? I'm coming to, my job is coming to stop armed robbers. That's what I'm going to do as a Nigerian president. And Nigerians accept. That shows you how bad, how low our education has sunk. Now, the young ones who do not even realize that they have no future. I'm 59 years old. Practically, my children are graduates, that are now on about their second degrees. So we have lived our own lives. The ones who are coming up do not realize that the way they are going, they have no future. And they are the kind of supposed education they receive is such that they don't understand this. And they're not developing themselves. When we were growing up, my parents were teachers, principal, headmistress. I resolved I was going to be very comfortable in life. Maybe not wealthy, but I will be comfortable. And I started working towards that. One of the first things I did was to make sure that I was going to study law. I had passion for that anyway. And then naturally other things followed. And thank God for what I became eventually in life. But the ones today are only looking at, how do I become a politician? How do I go and steal money? How do I, no, I must buy a Range Rover by tomorrow. How do you plan to buy that your Range Rover by whenever it's going to be? What is your plan? Nobody's thinking about that. Now, they do not realize that policies being made, if you even call them policies, because whatever they churn out are policies, are the things that will affect how, what, and who they will be, who they will become. Now, somebody comes and dashes you money, 5,000, I don't know how much, whatever it is, and you go and vote for him, and you do not have any recourse to this person again for 3 years, 9 months. When he comes again to tell you, you know what, time again, that's another 5,000 naira. Nothing happens in so-called schools, hospitals. We're always donating money for people to go and get treatment. Even malaria.
Because it's really amazing. I'm happy that you touched on that and, speaking from your own experience growing up years and trying to put this into proper perspective. Now, it would mean that many of these people till this moment have still not been talking about issues. It's still about some cliches that have formed some slogans for them. Do you think that this whole understanding of new breed politicians, maybe their acceptance before the people, has anything to do with money politics? Because now you have just, touched on money and maybe some kind of handouts that some of these politicians give out during their campaigns.
Yes, politics is expensive, campaign is expensive. Now, but let me see you some example of Kingsley Mogala I was using before. Sorry, I'm using him because I've known him for a long time. He was in Nigeria in university, and then, he still remained my friend. Kingsley Mogala has not been spending water moving around Nigeria. He's been spending money, but he's not been distributing money the way the old brigade will do. One, he doesn't have it anyway. And now the way he's going, it will be easy for him as president of Nigeria to focus on governance. He's not going to try to recoup. What does he have to recoup? He hasn't spent 200 billion, which he needs to recoup. So what he will do for Nigeria is to work, apply his intellect, his gifts, his talents towards governing Nigeria. Now, the young people who make up the greater majority of Nigerians, the greater population of Nigerians, who ought to key into this and stop saying, but it doesn't have structure. I don't know what they call structure. That's the first thing. That's the first 419 in politics. When I went into politics, that's the first 419, structure. Now, Kingsley is now known. You have your PVC. on February, I think it is in, I don't know what date it is, you go there, if you vote for Kingsley, if all the people who are supposed, I'm just using Kingsley as an example, could be any other young, new breed. If every of the persons that appreciate what governance in 21st century is, goes and votes for Kingsley, Kingsley becomes president without your so-called PDP or APC structure. Now, but they tell you you're being unrealistic, you're being idealistic. And they forget that without idealism, we wouldn't even be alive today. All the things we're enjoying because out of idealism. Oh, ideally, it should be like this. And somebody starts working towards that. Now, we go and continue hitting our head against the wall and expect not to have headache. I wonder how we want to achieve that. Yes, the parties and their candidates today, I would, like I already said that at the beginning, I would take an Atiku Abubakar 1,000,000 times over a President Buhari.
Why is that?
I said it some time ago, when it was even Jonathan and Buhari. Even over Jonathan, I'll take Atiku Abubakar, easily. Now, and if I could say that Buhari didn't have much to offer as against a Jonathan, you cannot imagine how it would be like. You see, it's not enough to tell me about integrity. People don't understand the meaning of words they throw around. Integrity is not a single item thing. It's a composite thing. I might not steal your money, but as I'm living here, I take your teacup and put in my pocket. Something has happened. You step out, I drink from your teacup, and I didn't tell you. And you say, what happened to my tea? I just keep where I'm looking at television. I'm not a person with integrity. Nepotism is corruption. It's bad. And no matter how I want to paint it, President Buhari had shown a lot of nepotism. No matter how I want to paint it, President Buhari had not shown an understanding of current trends in governance in the world, globally. No matter how I want to...
When you say current trends in governance, perhaps maybe you space it more for us to get that.
Okay, first of all, does the president understand what governance means, relating it to what obtained some 35 years ago, when he came onto the scene as the head of state, military head of state? You see, then he could issue orders, and people will obey, whether you are not even the person conceiving the orders you were issuing. Because what has been consistent in President Buhari's style of leadership has been not acting, but people acting for him. But again, I was already a lawyer when he came the first time, practicing lawyer. So I knew what happened the 1.5 years or so he governed. He wasn't governing.
Doesn't this tell you so much about the people in his administration? Because we shouldn't even be expecting everything, because he's placed, some of these tasks before some of these people in his administration. Perhaps they should be the ones to act.
No, you are the president. So you appoint the ministers, the DGs, the CEOs, all those things he appoints. But even the ones you're supposed to do, you're supposed to direct. Chief Executive Officer. You are the chief executive. You have other executives, but you're the chief. So you direct. Now, at the very least, I should be able to tell you, that book, shouldn't it be opened? Or what about that book? But we don't have anything like that. We never had it once Buhari was in leadership.
But they meet weekly. There's a weekly Federal Executive Council meeting.
What happens there?
I should ask
it's
you.
Just what we know that happens there is they just go and award contracts. That's what we know that happens every Wednesday. They go and award contracts. The ministers bring what they've cooked and concocted and bring it for their colleagues to now everybody say, yeah. And then they say, after that, somebody gets on the microphone and tells us they've just awarded Lagos Ibadan Road again for 7 trillion naira, and that part of it will be released immediately. The other one will wait for the following budget cycle.
So let's reward the people, because I was excited when you said your party, your political party is Nigeria.
Correct.
and more or less, I think you fit into what people call a nationalist, because sometimes when we talk about nationalism or nationalists, sometimes we think it's the old order, so you can also be a nationalist even if you're pretty young. What do you think we should be doing now? Because a lot of things happening. If you talk about integrity and the fight against corruption, it was only recently we saw, some other videos making the rounds. A lot of other issues have come up and some kind of denials. Is it enough for us to, label some of these things as fake news or concocted,
I'm sure I talk about the governor who converted his Babariga to
whatever
who they said converted his Babariga to
whatever we saw. We're still not too sure who that is.
Who they said? A governor. I don't even know who's governor. Now, that's why you see when you come and say that the main plank of your administration is fighting corruption, it belittles governance, it belittles government.
So with the release, sorry, I'm not cutting you. I'm not, because on this show we give more time to people to talk. I'm trying to look at that again. Is there anything the EFCC, when such videos, go viral, is there anything the EFCC should do to help unravel the veracity, authenticity?
Not in this case. He has immunity.
Not in this case.
He has immunity. A governor has immunity, so there's nothing EFCC can do in circumstance.
No, but you can investigate.
Why are you going to investigate? You enter government house to ask what? What are you coming to do? Who's going to give you the warrant? Who's going to give you that warrant? Which judge? On what basis? This is even not a serious matter. In any case, and all the money, talk about $5 million. Why should that even be an issue for us? If we are doing what we're supposed to do, that wouldn't even happen in the first place anyway. If we are doing what, for instance, in the past 3 years plus, where they said that this is the thrust of the administration, they abandoned everything. There's no other governance going on except we're fighting corruption. Now, in the same place where we're fighting corruption, they've been seeing, whether they create them or manufacture them or they genuinely see them, cartons of money. Nothing comes out of that. Once they show the cartons, those cartons disappear. We don't know anything about it again. Whether it's in Ikoyi or in somewhere up north, where or whether it's the one they saw, they said they saw in is it fridge or refrigerator? Sorry, there was an air conditioned room for money. Nothing happened about it. But if the president had been doing the other work and had left, because there's a way you will leave your appointees to do their work, and they know that, look, you're wasting your time going to talk to this man. What did Magu do? Magu arrested somebody, so why is that my problem? You know what the costs are. Now, that means that if actually I can go and establish that Magu is holding me illegally, the courts will order Magu to release me. I'm using Magu because that's the chairman of EFCC. And then when the court orders Magu to release me because he's been holding me illegally, Magu will obey. Not that me, a whole president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, will be telling us, justifying why somebody should not, why an officer or an institution should not obey a court order.
So you think these are some of the issues that will, make the discourse towards 2019 for people to choose, make their choices of who to vote
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately. Those are what ought to be. But in this country, we never do what ought to be done. People are going to get excited, collect their little money, or be shouting side this or side the other one, and just vote like that. And then, because of the corruption of the voting system, because of the corruption of the census, because they're all intertwined, and they all undermine credibility of our processes. Because of this, just these two, the electoral process and the census, you're not going to get what you're supposed to get. And chances are that the way things are going, there's a possibility that an Atiku might win. I said there's a possibility because of some coalition of forces, traditional forces that usually ensure that a certain narrative is the one that's on the table.
But already we've seen, let me take this to your region. You're from the southeast of Nigeria, and already we've seen some leaders, political leaders in southeast already kicking against the one former Vice President Atiku has chosen as his running mate.
Another word that's been abused is the word leader or leadership. It's been abused. Some people just wake up because maybe they've managed to corral some money while in government, either as ex or current, and the next thing we're hearing is leader. These people have not even been able to lead their families, wife and children, and they're answering Igbo leaders. If you follow that's what you just talked about, the subject properly, you will see how the Igbo people reacted against the so-called Igbo leaders. Because they say Igbo has no king. The reason is simple. They don't accept stupidity. You don't tell them what to do. Unless you convince them, you don't order them. That's why we don't go about reflecting for anybody. That's how we are. That's who we are. We're not stupid. So, a star, because whatever, I was to contest against Peter Obi. But the reality is that Peter Obi today is a star. Now, a star is brought out from your zone. Unless you're saying, look, we don't want vice presidential slots, which is a different matter. Not saying that it shouldn't be this man, we are not consulted. As who? Consulted as who? Let's even work with that. Let's assume this will have some political intelligence at all, which I doubt. The next thing would have been, you mean he came to my zone and picked somebody without telling me? I wouldn't go on television or on Twitter and whatever and start talking rubbish and calling an emergency meeting because I wasn't consulted. Well, yeah, everybody has each other's number. What just happened? He didn't even talk to us again. I saw you be. And then the man, I told you, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Blah, blah. In fact, I'm coming to see you now. But you came publicly thinking you are going to overwhelm us and overwhelm that appointment or that nomination, only to find yourself with a bloody nose. Real bloody nose. Those people who did that, who are now saying, no, that wasn't our intention. Obviously, that was their intention. The intention was to rubbish Peter Obi's nomination. Peter Obi is my friend, just like some of those people there are my friends. First, some of them are closer to me than Peter Obi is. But the point is that they messed up. They messed up. They could have handled it better if they needed to even do anything. Like I said, if it was, look, we don't want VP slot, different matter.
In your mind, do you think the Southeast is that what they want at this time? Many still think that perhaps it's not time for them to give it a shot and say, no, we want to be the number one.
That's not what we want.
That's not what we want.
That's not what we want. You see, what we want is some measure of independence, some measure of autonomy. Because the way it is, we are not allowed to be who we are. The federal government of Nigeria has not extended to the Southeast what it ought to extend to the Southeast. You must give us ministers, so you are not doing me any favor by making me a minister. The constitution, you must give me a ministerial, you must give Anambra, Imo, Abia, you must give the 5 states. You have no option. Even the other ones, you still have to give us some CEOs and all that, because you have to go according to the provisions of the Constitution. But that's where it ends. Nothing else works there. There's nothing else. The only federal presidents who have there are policemen and soldiers collecting money every 10 meters.
What else would you have wanted?
I'm just telling you, the only federal presidents in the 5 states.
I'm trying to.
There are no roads. I'm from Anambra State, I'm sure, like you know.
But you also know that there are some places, even in the southwest, that you really can't find roads.
You say some places. Thank you. I own this in every place.
Every
place. Any road you see. That's why Anambra State it has the best road network in the east. Roads built by what's his name, Ngige, Peter Obi. Those are the roads we have in Anambra. we have no federal roads in Eastern. In fact, in front of my village.
What then happens to the allocation? Monthly allocation to the states.
Allocation. I thought it was federal.
Yeah.
Because for the monthly allocation, P2B and they used it to construct roads, amongst other things they did. But the federal government, they used to call truncated roads. I think they still call that.
Yeah, truncated.
The Ihiala Olu Road is a federal road. Ihiala Olu Road passes. You don't want to put your Land Cruiser in there.
But again, in all honesty, I think this seems to be some kind of massive road construction in so many other places. But again, that's your region, and I'm amazed that it hasn't reached there. It hasn't reached that Ihiala or Olu Road.
No. It hasn't reached the 5 eastern states. I'm just telling you that even in front of my own village, it hasn't reached 5 eastern states. I didn't say some. I said all. Because you asked me also, apart from the policemen, what federal infrastructure or federal presence do you need? There is none, except policemen and soldiers. And now at times they send their python dancers to come and kill a few innocent young men and women who are just excitedly asking for what actually they're entitled to ask for. So it's not a matter of wanting a president. What I want is a president with this current structure doesn't mean anything. Why I'm for P2B's vice presidency is because if you're still distributing the way it is for the time being, okay, let's say have that one. But that's not what we want. What we want is a restructuring of this whole thing. In fact, I've just said it, we need some level of autonomy. That's what we want as Igbo people.
Well, we're closing on this because if I have to go into the issue of restructuring, perhaps I know we'll also open another vista because that has always been the talk of a lot of politicians. Let's close on that and see if we can actually summarize this. Restructuring for a lot of politicians, they've come up to give it some different kind of coloration and meaning. When you say restructuring for the Southeast or for Nigeria, what exactly do you have in mind?
Semi-autonomy. Get what you want, take what you have. If you recall, at least even we were not there, but at least it was already in the book, though they banned history. Before the Biafran War, Nigeria-Biafran War of 1967, which actually started from here, as usual, with Tia and all that eventually cascaded. And then we had the coup and then the Biafran War of 1967. The Eastern region was the fastest growing economy in the world. I didn't say Nigerian economy. Eastern region then was the current 5 eastern states, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, Bayelsa. That was the former Eastern region, Eastern Nigeria. Now, the schools were like the young man whose name I called now, Kingsley, went to Government College, Omaha. I went to CIC. The schools were competing. Now, the next thing you're hearing is St. Greg's, King's College. There was competition among the schools trying to churn out the best. And from there to their civil service was stellar at that time. It is not now that it's those who can make it that are thrown into civil service.
So in closing, one word here now. Do you think that those that you have just highlighted or shown some kind of love, you said Peter Obi is your friend, and you also have also spoken glowingly of Atiku Abubakar. Do you think, should it go to these individuals, do you think that they can give the Southeast what you just highlighted?
No, the structure, the way the structure is, they can't give so much to the Southeast. They can't. They can't. However, in their bid to enthrone a better Nigeria, what we wait for is just give us this level playing field, and we'll shine. And we'll I'm not saying we'll run others, but at least we'll run our race.
Kenneth Odidika, many thanks for coming on Political Star. And I do hope that we'll find time to come back again on this so that we can actually talk pretty much on 2019 as we go forward. Those are the issues you've highlighted, and well, I'm quite sure the people watching will take note. We'll take a moment, we'll come back, and when we come back, we'll be looking at perhaps the alternatives, which he has also started by looking at, if not APC and PDP, what else?